thanks everyone for listening to us and having us here for the Cloud Native Saar / Cloud Native Austria meetup. So this is a talk that we gave at KubeCon on behalf of the app delivery tag. So that's the tag is a technical advisory group. And what we do and why, and that's what we're going to discuss in this quick talk. Yeah, so just really quickly, this is about the two of us. My name is Lian. I'm one of the technical leads of the tag, and what we do is assist the chairs in all the administrative work.
Yes, and my name is Thomas. I'm a co-chair of the CNCF tag app delivery, and yes, what the tag is and so on. We will hear in some minutes.
So this talk is intended to be something funny. There's nothing really essential about Kubernetes that you will learn here, or really anything really technical. So it's supposed to be giving you an idea of what we do in the tag, which is mainly nonsense and memes, as you will learn. This is me when I first when I first heard about the tag by one of the other tech leads, and then also when Thomas approached me to ask if I wanted to help out become a tech lead, I was very confused. So my question then and today still is, and I'm going to ask Thomas again, what exactly does the tag do and how can it help me?
So that's a good question. So I think this was the same you said on stage. So in fact, the technical advisory group deals with a technical area. In our case, it's more about app delivery. I think there are some more tags in the whole CNCF space, such as for observability, such as for storage, runtime, and so on. And all of them have their topic area which they're dealing with. And with the things they are doing, they are supporting the CNCF Technical Oversight Committee in finding out if how projects or in which states projects are when they are approaching for sandbox incubation and so on. But it's also
Go to the next slide. Sorry, real quickly.
Yeah. Yes, but it's also to make some topics more approachable for end users, such as for writing white papers, trying to find patterns which end users could use in the future, and so on. And in further consequence, we are also helping other CNCF projects to improve and to get more mature and to make their way. Did I miss something, Lian?
No, I would just maybe summarize that we really try to find and promote best practices among the industry. So, like people can focus on building stuff rather than trying to like reinvent the wheel.
Okay, and for all of this, one should say that the scope of a tag is clear, right, Lian?
Yes, 1,000,000%. Except that it's not. As Thomas said, there's some other tags like runtime or storage or networking, and you would think that like anything that belongs in runtime is very clear in runtime, but then we have discussed a lot of projects within the last 12 months. If you want to move to that slide, Thomas, where we see some crossover with other types of tags that where it's not quite clear is like litmus something that is more like security or runtime or app delivery. I think that speaks to how complex the industry and the ecosystem has become, that things are not that clearly defined anymore. And a lot of these projects have come to us because they want to be promoted through the CNCF lifecycle. So, like, I don't know if it's called the lifecycle, but this is what Mario alluded to earlier, the different states that a project can have, such as sandbox, incubation, and graduation. And then often what they do is they come to us and then present their project there to get some feedback and also get our, I guess, professional opinion. Up until recently, the tag also provided a recommendation to the TOC whether a project should be promoted to the next stage or not. But I think they changed that a couple of months ago. So we can still give them a recommendation, but it's not like it's optional now. That's the word. Yeah, we also were having a lot of conversations about more general topics that were not as technical, not like project specific. So for example, we tried to improve our website and give more space to the community so they can write their own blog posts and promote like the work that has been done. A way through which we work in the tag is through working groups. So these are groups of people or topics that are very specific where I want to do more specific work on. For example, there's a very active platforms working group, and they have written a white paper last year. They've conducted some interviews with end users, and they've developed a maturity model to measure the maturity of a platform. But we also have like very kind of one-off contributions, like some people add just new languages to the website or, like translate some stuff. We had the artifacts working group that was recently, or not recently, but it's one of our younger working groups. We've discussed a chaos engineering working group, which then I guess didn't really happen, even though they were talking to a bunch of tags, I think. Yeah, I don't want to go through every single thing, but that's basically the idea of how we work and the kind of stuff that we have been doing. And we have had one very long discussion. I think it's been ongoing for almost a year now about an API working group where a bunch of mainly app developers have come to us to establish a working group about API best practices. And this was one of the topics that we've discussed at length. And this is my segue into the next section.
So, and when we are talking about application delivery in Kubernetes and so on, we might think that we have continuous integration, we have GitOps and infrastructure as code. And so at the first side, I think that's all we need for app delivery, right? Yes, but also we found out that we missed something in the end. So there are lots of more things when talking about application delivery, which might fall into the scope. And during the talk at KubeCon, we had such kind of an iceberg model. So all what you see here, so all the GitOps parts and so on, would stay on the tip of the iceberg. So this would the things which would be the things which are visible for end users and so on. But below the water, there are other things which they might not see, such as governance things, such as API design, such as software development, and so on. And these are also things we dealt lots with in the last year. And in the end, we thought or we think that app delivery might be eating the world, right? So everything we are doing is related to application delivery. Also application development and application delivery are moving closer together. So when we are talking about infrastructure as code and so on, there are topics ongoing where the infrastructure is defined in the code. So developers are defining infrastructure and they are using infrastructure and so on. With the whole DevOps shift left and platforms thing, we cannot ignore anymore that there are software developers. And we overlap with many other topics in the near of us, such as things as service architecture, such as governance, also runtime reliability, also when we are talking about chaos engineering and so on. So there are many topics we don't have on the radar today. So and back to the thing which Lian told before, we were discussing about a working group for APIs, and in the beginning we said, yes, this is a software development topic, and this is not should not be part of our tag. And we as tag leadership had a very hard time to find out if this belongs to our tag and or if this is not the case. And at KubeCon, we decided, at least for a certain period of time, it should be in our scope. So we decided to establish a working group for application development, which deals with such things as SDKs, APIs, and so on. And yes, at the moment we are building this group, so we are trying to find interested parties. We try to find out what could be the scope of this working group, and make this operational. And this working group is here to stay, so we don't want to spin it down very soon, and we want to make it a tag in the future so that it gets the place in the cloud native space where it deserves. And therefore, if you are interested in such app development topics, feel free to participate here. Good, and I think we also had some impressions, Lian, right?
We did, and actually the KubeCon went super well for the tag. I think, as you can see, we met a lot of cool people. We did a lot of cool things. So for example, here we were at the Red Hat OpenShift Commons gathering, which is a kind of community, like Red Hat OpenShift community meeting, and these four very handsome people that you can see, who had a panel discussion on platforms and developer efficiency or developer happiness for platforms. I think we all kind of more or less met in the platforms working group or in the tag. I think that's where we first talked with each other. So it was nice to see each other again in person. And what's on the next slide? Oh yeah, this is the talk that we have been giving now, but the full version with much more memes in the maintainer track. And it was nice to see that a lot of them actually, a lot of the audience, that people were just curious. They did not come just specifically to see us or the talk. And we also had the working group chairs of the platforms working group there who were able to just tell us a bit more about what they were doing. So it was very interactive. There's a recording on YouTube, which is a bit weird because part of the talk happened kind of like not on stage because people were just talking in the audience. But again, that's how we work, very on the spot and spontaneously and not finishing things until the very last minute.
But I think this was one of the funniest talks we ever had, right?
I think it went super well. We were like exactly on time also. So that was pretty amazing. I don't know how we did it. Probably just professional, you know.
Yes.
Um,
This must be the reason.
Yes, obviously. And then finally, we also had a booth at KubeCon. So all the CNCF projects, including the tags, can get a booth at the project pavilion where all the open source projects are showcased. And this is what we've been doing since at least Amsterdam, I think. We have lightning talks there, so we invite people to come there for 10 minutes, give a quick talk on anything tag related or like app delivery related or presenting a CNCF project. And this is a good opportunity to also just directly talk with a small group of people. Also, if anyone's just interested in what we do, that would be also a good place to go. Obviously, KubeCon just ended, but for the next one, you can try and find the app delivery tag booth at KubeCon. And I think that was the entire talk, right?
I think with this we are done, yes. So
Excellent.
if you want to get in touch with the tag or whatever, feel free to reach out to Lian or me. If you want to tell your story about about the application development, application delivery, and so on, we are also very interested in hearing your experiences and so on.